लोगों को भी समझने लगा यार मेरे को जूते का ब्रांड पता है बट मेरे को सब्जी कहाँ से आ रही है वो पता नहीं है, और सब्जी तो मैं मेरे बॉडी के अंदर डाल रहा हूँ। Spinach, the nutrition which was available in it 40 years back, the nutrition in that has now already degraded by 40 to 60%.
Why is that?
Because
you did acknowledge that it is about 20% higher than what you'd get at a regular vegetable vendor. But how much of that price increase is going to the farmer?
we realized that 10 to 20% premium is the consumers are willing to pay. Call it as affordable premium because the value what they get against that is it's a pre-sorted, graded produce. What a lot of people see towards this space is they think this as a tech business because it happens through app. But this is a supply chain business.
What do VCs get wrong when it comes to AgriTech?
They focus less on agri and more on tech.
What have you understood about the Indian consumer today?
Fruit consumer is a more sticky consumer than a vegetable consumer. Because fruit, they really are very critical about the kind of fruit they like and they don't like.
Who is your real competition?
The largest competition is the unorganized market. The local fruit and vegetable stalls, the mandis and everything.
There have been players the likes of a Frazo, a Deep Rooted that completely shut down. Is that a telling sign of what could potentially happen? Is that a worry for you? Did that scare you?
I think from day one our focus has been on
what were the biggest mistakes that you made that you wish you hadn't done when you started out in this space?
For the first 2.5 years we didn't open even one single store. And it was a very big mistake.
Today's guest is building a food company, but what he's really working on is a better connection between the farmers and the consumers. Vivek Nirmal is the co-founder of Kisan Connect, a farm-to-fork business that has been serving Mumbai and Pune since 2020. Along with Nidhi Nirmal, he set out to make food more transparent, traceable, and accessible while helping farmers earn more than what they grow. Today, we are at the packaging facility of Kisan Connect in Navi Mumbai, where they serve over 1 lakh customers through their app and farm stores, sourcing directly from farmers and using technology to deliver that fresh produce efficiently and sustainably. At a time when people are asking where their food comes from, Vivek is building a business that helps bring farmers and consumers closer together. So let's get started. Vivek, thank you so much for having us here at the Kisan Connect Farms Pack House in Navi Mumbai. I can't wait to get started. So let's get straight to it. This story of you beginning this company actually started with a personal story when you realized with someone how food contamination is so harmful for health. Can you tell me more?
I think, I've started a journey pretty early in agribusinesses
Yes.
For me. And, after successfully divesting the earlier dairy business, there was a search, what else can we do? Our passion has always, been to work with smallholder farmers and all. So during that, I think somewhere we realized that there are a couple of spaces in agriculture, seeds, so pulses and grains. And fresh fruits and vegetable was something which was very interesting because the whole market is going from unorganized to organized. And during, that study, I think I started realizing the whole repercussions of what goes into the supply chain, right from growing, the issues farmers face, the issues in the supply chain. And, exactly during that time, there were our family friends and they were diagnosed with cancer. And we met them. Very sadly, his wife also was diagnosed with cancer. They passed away in a very short span of time. Very unfortunate. And when I was talking to the doctors, talking everyone, I realized how our food chains have got contaminated, how it is really impacting people around us, how it is impacting our children, how it is impacting our families. And that's what really inspired us that I think everyone talks about it, but it is necessary that we do certain things about it. And that's when we said that, given our experience in the supply chain, in perishable, this is a thing worth cracking. Because if we are able to crack this successfully, this becomes a model for the whole country. And yes, I think that's what has been the inspiration behind Kisan Connect.
So you did identify that gap, the food chains being contaminated, but you're being very modest saying that I have experience because you actually built and ran and grew Prabhat Dairy, a formidable company that was listed on the stock exchanges, and you sold it as well to a French dairy giant for $220 million. Tell us a little bit about what were the learnings from that and why did you decide to start over?
So the journey again there has been very interesting. So we come from a farming family.
Okay.
My grandfather, he was a farm laborer, and from a place near Shirdi, that's where we belong from. My father was the first to get educated in the whole family, and he always had a dream of starting something for the farmers. I think somewhere in 98, 99, he saw that privatization has happened, a lot of dairy companies are coming in, and he decided to start a dairy company. I was very young, 16, 17, but being a family business, I got an opportunity to join the business very early. And that's where our journey started. First 4 5 years were just understanding the business, what's happening. It was new for everyone, but that's when we realized that the district in which we were located, Ahmednagar district, happens to be the largest cow milk producing district in the whole country, and that's what has inspired us that we can go to the next level. So we started touring across the country, understanding various business models, and that's when we realized that every dairy cooperative or a private company is just collecting milk and pouching it and selling it around. But there are a lot of large companies globally. What happens is that a lot of food companies work hand in hand with dairy companies.
Yes.
For dairy ingredients. So we
Okay.
decided to position ourselves as a specialized dairy ingredients company.
Okay.
And that's where our real journey started in 2005, 2006. But the biggest challenge, what we realized, was milk. Because the milk which is available again in the country, there are a lot of challenges like adulteration.
Correct.
And that happens because our farmers are smallholder farmers. They grow. Every village, the milk is to be collected. So there are aggregators. And the moment there are aggregators, there is a high chance of adulteration as well. So we decided that we will directly go to the farmers and collect milk to eliminate this problem. So we tried and tried and tried, and we failed terribly for first 4 5 years. But I think somewhere down the line, we had that conviction and we said that tech could be a great solution for that. So we built our own tech. Every village had a automated milk testing equipment, milk getting tested there, farmers getting payment directly in their bank accounts, no cash payments. So that transparency was built, hand holding with the farmers, veterinary services, artificial insemination services for the animals. So slowly, I think relationship started building, and that eventually leads you to trust, because now your behavior, so trust is not an action, it's an outcome. So if you are transparent, trust will come as a result. We have been transparent with our farmers, we have been hand holding with our farmers. I think that resulted into very high quality milk supply chain being available from lakhs of farmers. And then at the front end, we tied up for long terms with companies like Mondelez or Kraft, and all large nutrition companies, pizza chains, confectionery companies.
So F&B essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we built larger facilities for it, like condensed milk, whey powder manufacturing facilities, cheese manufacturing facilities, and all. And then that business really started growing. We didn't have any capital because it was a first generation business. So I think that's when we raised private equity at that point of time. And then eventually company got listed. And then I think we were at decent size in 2018-19. That's when we said that let's go to the next level.
Yeah.
We talked to a couple of global players to bring them to India and partner with them. So the divestment actually happened, just on the journey, on the go. It was not a pre-planned thing. So we signed up with the largest yogurt brand in the world to bring that to India.
Okay.
We signed up with the largest cheese brand in the world, to bring them to India. And I think during the discussions as they progressed, I think we really, the partners got interested. They said, look, you have built something really incredible with the farmers, which is very difficult to build. Then your manufacturing facilities, the clientele. And
Correct.
on top of that, you're also building a great consumer business. And that's how then, that we got a great offer. And then that became one of the landmark transactions in dairy industry. So we divested that business successfully. But as I said, obviously the passion always remained in agriculture and those things. And hence we started screening fruits and vegetables, came in as a preferred thing because we see a huge opportunity in this space, very unorganized, no brands in this space. And when the entire industry is going from unorganized to organized, I think that's the time when you are able to build brands.
Yes.
That's what we saw, and that's the whole reason for Kisan Connect to exist.
That's so interesting. And, that you said you had that fire in your belly or that passion and that you decided to start over. But incredible what you built with Prabhat Dairy as well. The fact that these global companies were ready to lap it up. So let's just understand for the benefit of our viewers. I am going to the local store and I am buying vegetables and fruits. How is that different? And what is it that is different that I'm consuming compared to ordering it on Kisan Connect? Describe it.
So, if you see, all the spaces have evolved. If you see dairy, or if you see spices, or if you see tea, have evolved from getting unorganized to organized for a reason. And I think the biggest, every industry has a reason to evolve. So in fruits and vegetables, there are a lot of things. For example, when you mentioned that I want to buy fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
The core of it actually remains that we eat fruits and vegetables for nutrition. But today what has happened is, and consumers are increasingly realizing this. I'll give you a small example, a spinach. The nutrition, and the vitamins, what were available, and these are tested results, which was available in it 40 years back. The nutrition in that has now already degraded by 40 to 60%. Right?
Why is that?
Because, the nutrition basically in the crops come from soil. Right? If soil has the nutrition, then the plant is going to uptake it, and then it is going to put it in your vegetable.
So it is the time lag, and it is the multiple hands that are changing before it gets to me that is leading to nutrition deficit.
So starting from the soil, because largely the soils now in India has started becoming deficient in nutrition because of excessive use of chemical fertilizers, excessive use of pesticides. So due to excessive use of chemical fertilizers, if the immunity of the plant is not high, because it does not get the nutrition. If the immunity of the plant is not high, automatically the pest attacks are high. So if the pest attacks are high, the farmer uses more pesticides. So what happens is that food starts becoming unsafe. The land starts becoming infertile, highly acidic, low in nutrition, and that impacts the vegetables. So that's number one reason.
Yeah.
Number two, the biggest reason is the kind of handling which is given. So typically what happens, a farmer will provide to a local mandi. The local aggregator will provide to a larger mandi like Mumbai. Then an aggregator will again buy. Then that will come to a local, a small shop or something like that. Or even, in large chains, it will go to the warehouses and then it will come to the stores and all. So it changes hands 5 to 6 times. So the more time lag happens, the nutrition starts going down because there is no proper temperature given to it. There is no field heat which is recovered. And multiple hands, again, they damages the fruits and vegetables. Okay. So what happens here is, instead, we eliminate almost 2 to 3 layers.
Okay.
So we have a farm level, village level collection system. So in 200 kilometers radius from Mumbai and Pune, we have around 8 collection centers.
Okay.
In Nasik, in Pune, in Satara, in Solapur.
So from the farms directly?
Yes. So every collection centers typically procures it around 15 kilometers radius, 20 kilometers radius. There are more than 8,000 farm partners now. And what they do is every morning they harvest. In the evening also they harvest. They bring it to the local collection center. There we sort it, grade it. The farmers are already trained for that. Our agronomists work with them closely about what crop to be grown, what is the treatment to be given to the crops, so that they use more biofertilizers, soil is enriched, and they have to use very only permitted chemicals, or they don't have to use pesticide at times. So the entire work goes on preventive. Then they are trained about, suppose if it's a tomato, what size of tomato, what shape, what color, what variety, what stage. And that exactly then, comes to the collection centers. After it comes to the collection centers, it is immediately pre-cooled at 20 degrees Celsius. That's when we'll recover the field heat. And once it comes to 20 degrees Celsius, the respiration of that fruit or vegetable slows down. The moment it slows down, which means now it is retaining the nutrition than actually eliminating the nutrition. Then the same temperature is retained till this pack house. And even our hubs, we have 27 hubs across Mumbai and Pune from where it is serviced to the consumers. Even these hubs are temperature controlled, humidity controlled. And then when the order from the consumer comes, if you put an order on Kisan Connect, it is going to be picked up from your nearest hub in an insulated bag, and it is going to be delivered to your home. So this control, the timing, first of all, morning and evening harvest comes to you next day morning. Second, it is completely temperature and humidity controlled. Third, it is immediately pre-cooled within 4 hours of harvest. Immediate pre-cooling after harvesting reduces a lot of stress on fruits and vegetables. So now, if you buy from Kisan Connect, it could be 10 to 20% costlier, but then what you get is the best possible nutrition which is retained in that vegetable or fruit. Second, you also get much better and fresher quality which you can feel when you have it, when you eat the vegetables, or when you eat fruit, or when you cook them for your family.
But what about the ones that are not consumed? How do you all, is it?
So this is actually a very interesting point, because for perishable industry,
Yeah,
it becomes
it's very
extremely
difficult
important
for the perishable industry.
and hence I think now in 5 years we have been able to build the entire Kisan Connect operation. Stands on our proprietary tech. We call this KNet, and KNet has 15 to 16 modules, right from farmer calendars about what are they going to grow, when are they going to grow, what are their schedules for fertilizers and all. Then our real-time monitoring of inventory, temperature, humidity, real-time stock monitoring level, and demand forecasting engine, pricing engine, liquidation engine. For example, today if we know, okay, that this weekend, is this a long weekend? What was the trend at the last long weekend? What was the trend last year's same long weekend? If tomorrow, for example, if you are going to get 13,000 orders, for deliveries, what is going to be the attach rate? How many people out of 13,000 will order bhindi? How many of them will order in 250 grams? And based on that prediction, I think that helps us to procure right.
So you have all of that tech at your
Yes.
back end, which is really helping facilitate all of this.
Correct.
But now you brought up the point about these 8,000 farmers that you have the connect with. How are you actually ensuring quality control on their end with 8,000 farmers?
Again, very important point, because again, rightly so, this is not a manufactured product.
Yeah.
So that, you bring everything here and then you just standardize the quality and send it out. That doesn't happen like that. So standardization of quality at their level becomes extremely important. I think what we have learned through our earlier businesses as well and through this, I think it is very important that we go beyond transactional things with the farmers. So most of the mandi buying and everything is very transactional. So farmers today sell their produce and that's it. But in our case, it starts right from shortlisting of that farmer. When we onboard that farmer, shortlisted for their practices, for what kind of soil, we test the soil. We have our own soil testing lab. And based on that soil, we advise them, what are the deficiencies, what are the kind of treatment they need to give to the soil. Second, a big pre-harvest and post-harvest training is carried out. When I'm saying post-harvest, for example, today you get some pest attack on a cauliflower, on its leaves, and consumers won't like it because maybe the yield drops for the farmer. But the reason is not wrong post-harvesting. The reason it at the plantation, the distance in between two crops was not right. So it actually has to start from there. So we advise them exactly that what are the best practices there. What are the best practices for prevention of pest? Then after the harvest, they should be harvesting at a particular time. If they are keeping it at crates, what is the height they should be filling that crates to? What they should be keeping it in shade. How should they transport it to the collection center? When should it be plucked? When it should not be plucked? They're very small things, but slowly farmers, they get trained and then they learn it.
And like you said, it's more than just transactional with them. So how so?
Because what happens is, once they start learning it, typically a farmer produces grade A and grade B produce. When I'm saying grade A, grade B, grade A typically is, if you go to a market, you will choose, right, yourselves. But you will choose the best of it. That is grade A. And grade B is also good produce, but it could be maybe there are certain scratches on that product, or it is D-shaped. No, it's a good product. But that typically goes in Horeca. So the restaurant guys use it. If they want to prepare a pav bhaji, they just have to mash it. For them, grade B is also fine. So farmers always get the best price for grade A produce.
Okay.
And a much lower price for grade B produce. So helping them to increase their quantity of grade A improves their income significantly.
Okay. So let's talk financials as well. I understand as of March 2026, your revenue stood at about 275 crore rupees. How do you plan to scale that up, and what are the metrics that you will use in order to do that?
So we did around, our strategy is to be only in limited cities but to go very deep, because that's what
Okay.
helps perishable businesses.
Okay.
If you are into food and especially in perishable, the greatest idea is to actually go deeper in smaller geographies rather than spreading yourself wide, because it's an execution business. I think that's what we have done here successfully. Only in two cities of Mumbai and Pune, we have been able to clock a revenue of more than 275 crores last year. This year we are targeting, almost 60%, 70% growth over that. And we target, we feel that there is a potential to become a 1,000 crore plus revenue company in next 3 to 4 years, only in these two cities. These two cities promise that much potential because the space is huge. And to complement our current online business, I think 3 years back we have also started opening our farm stores. Very good experience in farm stores as well. We have around 15 farm stores now. There are all kind of consumers. There are a lot of consumers who want to come to the stores, buy physically, experience the produce.
Yeah.
So for them, they really like our farm stores. Right now, they are in Navi Mumbai and Thane, but soon we'll be expanding it in parts of Mumbai and Pune as well.
Okay, good to know. 1,000 crores in the next 3 to 4 years. So break it down for us. How much is coming from your fruits and vegetables? How much percentage from dairy, which you all have, and then from even the handmade goods that you all sell?
So 70% comes from fruits and vegetable, which remains our core. So as a principle, we don't sell any other branded products. It's only Kisan Connect products. We have around 650 SKUs. 250 SKUs are fresh fruits and vegetables. It's again largest assortment in the country. But then the rest is for the categories like mom's kitchen, village staples, and all these are fully traceable. So when you buy on the app, you are, if it's a bindi or it's a tomato, you will be able to see from which farmer it is going to come.
Okay.
With that, what are the practices the farmer has followed? So that builds trust in the consumers.
Understood. So, given that you're so tech heavy and you're generating about 275 crore rupees, tell me how much is going into the maintenance of the warehouse, the omni channel, the hub centers, the technology. Are you profitable?
So we target to be profitable in this financial year.
Okay.
A lot of and we have been continuously improving in our profitability since 4 or 5 years. Last year, obviously, it was a conscious call to increase our hubs for 60 minutes delivery, and that's when we decided that we'll be targeting our profitability in the year to come. But we'll be creating infrastructure which is more convenient to the customer. So that's what it is targeted for this year.
No, so how much are you spending across all of these?
So we spend a significant amount, obviously, around 50-55% on the produce, what we get.
Okay.
And then it starts, which is from our, what we call it as our first mile, then the operations, and then the deliveries, which is the last mile. We spend, almost 5 to 6% on marketing.
Okay.
On digital platforms. But earlier, a lot of consumers came through Google, Facebook, and all. But today we see almost 50% are organic consumers. 50%
word
still
of
come
mouth.
word of mouth. And around 4 to 5%, we again spend on our R&D, building tech, and maintaining all our IT, digital, and all.
And it's very interesting. Shilpa Shetty Kundra, an avid wellness advocate, began as your customer and then went on to become your brand ambassador and your investor. How did that even happen? And what does it mean for the brand?
So this is interesting. During COVID times, a lot of housing societies and all, they started buying from Kisan Connect. And post that, they continued. They really liked the quality of the produce and all. And one day, we realized there was one of the ad agency which, we were doing some stuff with. And they said us that we have been, working on a project with Shilpa Shetty, and she is Kisan Connect's consumer, and she really likes the stuff, and she wants to meet you guys. So we were really surprised. We were saying, wow, that's really something, to credit to our farmers. And that's when we met her, and she then really understood the whole story. Saw that what the how can this really transform. How is Kisan Connect completely modernizing the way people buy fresh produce? And she expressed her intent to be a part of this journey, to become an active investor as well as to become a brand ambassador as well. And then that really worked out. And then Kisan Connect was new at that point of time. So really having her face helped us to reach a lot of new consumers, making this brand familiar. So that actually started with she just buying the produce, liking it, reaching out, and then that's what turned into this kind of partnership.
That's amazing. What a stamp of approval. And the fact that it happened organically, I think that really says everything. Let's go back to pricing. You did acknowledge that it is about 20% higher than what you'd get at a regular vegetable vendor. But how much of that price increase is going to the farmer? How are they benefiting?
So this is a model wherein you need to strike a balance. So customers, we in India, we say that they will pay premium, but this is very sensitive. And it generally applies to certain categories. It applies to certain categories partially. And this is a category wherein, irrespective of our income levels, consumers are very conscious when buying groceries. If you go to the market, right, and if you bring fruits and vegetables, even today, the mom is going to ask, कि अच्छे से भाव किया क्या, right? कहाँ से लिया, क्या rate? So I think this is embedded in the way our upbringing is happening and all, and it's nothing wrong. It's about the value that we seek value, and we don't want anyone to cheat us. That's the whole intent about this. So we realize that there is a range. If you have a premium of say 50 to 100% in this category, it becomes niche. And then niche doesn't work in a perishable business, because then it becomes very small. You need to have economies of scale as well, for which we realize that 10 to 20% premium is the consumers are willing to pay.
That
But
affordable premium, you call
affordable
it.
premium, we call it as affordable premium, because I think the value what they get against that is it's a pre-sorted, graded produce. It is home delivered to them. The assortment is very high, and that is something which they are willing to pay, because they have to pay this continuously.
Correct.
The consumer, if she buys 3 to 4 times a month, she has to pay this continuously 50
Correct.
times a year, and hence it has to be in a range. It cannot be more than that. But at the same time, if you see at the farmers, the way farmers benefit is not we pay something very extra than the market. We pay it as per the market prices. The only thing is we pay it transparently. They get paid on time. If they go to the local market, they can, there is some agent commission, there is some charges and something. They don't need to go to the market now. It is close to their fields. Second, since there are no intermediaries, 100% of the payment goes to their bank account. So they get paid in full. And third, as I said, most importantly, that we help them to grow more and more grade A produce. So that is how, in a way, their income increases. And at the same time, it also becomes like, only affordable premium for the consumers as well.
You began by saying that you saw this opportunity. It was an unorganized space which you tapped into. So who is your real competition?
I think the largest competition is the unorganized market. The local fruit and vegetable stalls, the mandis and everything. And this is now changing everywhere. So as the cities are getting bigger, if you want to go to buy to a local mandi, you have to first, the immediate thing what you have to think about first is the parking. Forget the mandi. The mandi is yet to come. Then you go there. You have to go to 4 to 5 locations. Then pick up stuff, negotiate. Right. It could be raining sometime. It is hot sometime. Against which you come here, you get full assortment. You get it at convenience at your home.
And you can order it on the app.
You can order it on the app.
So you guys are the only
stores.
ones that are doing a farm to table kind of a thing with an app?
Yes. So Kisan Connect is the only one who is, exclusively focused on building this vertical. There are a couple of other good companies as well. Like even if you see quick commerce, they sell. Or even if you see there are a lot of other, food apps, they also sell. Here, what we are doing differently is giving 100%
They are selling
visibility.
organic, right? Which is different.
Here, what we try to do is we give 100% visibility from which farmer it is coming, number one. Number two, we have our own exclusive supply chain. What happens is, fresh perishables need an specialized supply chain. They need specialized handling. They need specialized monitoring. But that is what is lacking when a category or when any app handles, say, 100 categories. A specialized attention just is impossible for fresh perishable category.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of other outfits as well. But then for them, the supply chain does not start directly from the farmer. The unique thing about Kisan Connect is that supply chain starts from the farmer, and I would go even a step further, because it actually starts while sowing. And we don't only care about the kind of that how much kgs you get, but we also care about the nutrition and the timing when it gets to you. I think that's what is something which keeps on hooking people, because people who really understand what a good vegetable is, what a good fruit is, they understand the difference. For them, the moment of truth is whether it's a really tender vegetable, whether the fruits are really tasting good, whether they are at right stage, and that's what I think makes the difference.
Absolutely. Now, this farm to consumer fresh produce as a market is growing quite significantly in India. But there have been players, the likes of a Frazo, a Deep Rooted, that completely shut down. Is that a telling sign of what could potentially happen? Is that a worry for you? Did that scare you?
I think if we see all these companies, and I would say they were all good companies, right? As they started. What a lot of people see towards this space is they think this as a tech business because it happens through app. Uh, but this is a supply chain business. This is an execution business, and especially in perishable, you have to be very careful. So I think somewhere what happened is, while all this companies started understanding this market, but some issues like suddenly expanding in multiple cities, or only depend relying on the wholesale channels for sourcing, then that ultimately does not bring out a differentiation in consumer. That really impacted. I think from day one our focus has been on building this ground up, building up a right supply chain, building the right processes. This is all a timing business.
Correct.
So what we run, is a few things like FMS, the flow management system. So for you to get it on time, it has to be packed on time. It has to be picked on time. The vehicle has to reach there on time. So it has to be coming here on time. So it has to be dispatched on time from the collection center. So the farmer has to harvest in time. Every step is monitored through our FMS system, where we connect with the farmers, we connect with the vehicles, we connect with the pack house operators and the hubs operators, and we in real time see what is going on where. I think these execution disciplines help us first to maintain the reliability for consumers. Second, it helps us to maintain the lowest wastages as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have been consistently growing. In this 5, 6, I think 4, 5 years, the quick commerce has come up and a lot of other channels have come up and everyone is growing. There's a market for everyone.
Yeah.
But Kisan Connect continues to grow. Kisan Connect continues to open more stores, more hubs. And I think that's what is we are doing differently, or I think that's what didn't work out for
the
a
others.
couple of players. I think capital was not a constraint because people raise a lot of capital, but I think how you deploy the capital also matters a lot.
Yeah.
I think in our case, we have been very, very disciplined in terms of capital deployment. If we see our ratios of the money we have raised compared to the revenues what we have built in comparison to some of the other companies, it is extremely these ratios are extremely good.
Yeah.
Because we believe, and there is a significant amount of our own capital also, being a second time entrepreneur deployed in this business, we are very, very careful about deployment of that.
That's a very important point. Raising capital is not important. It's how you deploy that capital that is very critical. So what are your biggest challenges being in this space, farm to consumer fresh produce space, that you're facing right now?
I think I would see execution at scale is a challenge in this space, because this space is evolving. This is not an evolved space. So automation, for instance, automation in terms of maybe packaging, automation in terms of monitoring. If you see at the farm level, we are now working with the farmers, installing soil sensors, installing weather stations, trying to make things more predictable. Right? I think that is a challenge we are trying to solve it with a couple of partners using tech.
Okay.
Second, when I'm saying execution at scale, people today don't want fresh produce only in the morning or in the afternoon, even in the evening. So right analytics, right predictions, right prediction models are something again we are working on. That's a challenge about. In this, you have a very thin line. You should not be stocked out, and your produce also should not be dumped.
Yeah.
So you have to work on a thin line, particularly on that. That's a challenge. Logistics, particularly. When we say last mile, obviously, in the last mile, particularly, you compete with a lot of last mile players in the market. So how do you really build a very good quality experience for the customer while actually maintaining right OTDs as well, on-time deliveries as well?
Right.
That is something which we are working on.
So it's a number of processes that are still quite tricky for you that you're figuring out along the way.
Yes.
Are there any global companies that have done this successfully, or maybe someone that you look at to emulate? Of course, practices, policies, all very different globally, but just wanted to understand.
I think I don't see many global companies in exactly this model, but because India is unique in a lot of terms,
Yeah.
right? Smallholder farmers, which are not there in other developed
Correct,
countries,
correct.
or even consumers, and deliver them to them very frequently. But I see there are a lot of good companies when it comes to managing farm fresh produce. So companies like Whole Foods, for example, or
Yes.
Sprouts Farmers
Yeah.
Market in the US.
They're huge.
They are huge, and they have multiple outlets with the kind of experience. We want to build experience something like that digitally, number one.
Okay.
We also want to build these kind of experience centers physically. Now there are space constraints in our cities, and also how do you build it? Where do you build it? Is something which we are figuring it out. But these are the companies. And if I see, I also would appreciate Amazon to certain extent, not for exactly, I would say, the fresh produce, but the customer obsession. I think Amazon as a company, the greatest thing to learn from them is the customer obsession, what they have, the customer experience and all.
Yeah.
I think that is definitely, I would say, we have learned a lot from these companies.
Okay. And so, what is the game plan? How do you want to capitalize on this growing market in India? The fact that consumers are willing to pay the affordable premium. Is there a plan to IPO? How do you plan to scale?
Again, what I've learned in my journey is that you can't time the markets. That you will be IPOing
You're
in 3 years.
talking like every market expert I have on the show.
I think I have learned it in my own experience.
Yeah.
Because building a business, making it listed, divesting it,
Yeah.
and I think I've seen a lot of things in last 10, 15 years. But what I've learned is there are 3-4 things you need to work on.
I'll come to the learnings later. Right now, you tell me what your game plan is for Kisan Connect.
So, see, this business which is getting built in India, it's an omni-channel business. We are building our farm stores, we are building our hubs for e-com as well. So, obviously, an IPO in 3 to 4 years when we are 1,000 crore scale is definitely on the cards. But apart from that, and this again comes from our earlier experiences, what we are building is the right supply chain. What we are building is a great farmer moat. What we are also building is a great consumer moat. This business is more like a bank also, where you have your depositors as one side and borrowers at one side,
Yeah.
and you need to build trust with both of them. So I think we are building that moat very strongly.
Okay.
So this also is a great, I would say, opportunity for a lot of global players to partner. So Kisan Connect tomorrow could be a global partner, with a global player for India, of course. It could be partner, with digital companies. It could
Yeah.
be a partner. It could be an IPO company. It could be a company which could, work with multiple, like for earlier we were in fruits and vegetables. Now we are in dairy as well.
Yes.
Those are the kind of large categories we are
Okay.
identifying. So apart from IPO, I think if we keep on building on the fundamentals of the business, I think the right opportunities keep on coming.
And 1,000 crores in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've learned a lot about your business metrics. Now, as a founder, I want to ask you questions that are actionable, that people watching this who want to enter into businesses, start out on their own, know how to scale, really understand. You said you had a lot of learnings from building Prabhat Dairy. Tell me what those key learnings are, particularly in this space. And of course, running Kisan Connect.
Many of them, but as you asked, particularly in the context of new entrepreneurs or about how do they look at it, I think today the space definitely is evolving and tech is available, especially with AI and all. The speed is there, the capital is available. I would say trying out models is very important. Experimenting is very important, and
But you need capital to do that.
Yeah, but and I think that is where being frugal, understanding what is the pulse of the consumer.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing, what applies there, which has worked for us. And today there are a lot of, I would say, lot of content which is available on this. But I think the biggest thing what one has to trust is their own instincts and common sense. That ठीक है, ये चीज चलेगी क्या? ये अगर चीज चलेगी, आप थोड़े से इसमें आप उसको एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हो. आप कंज्यूमर का बिहेवियर अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हो, समझ सकते हो. एंड देन इफ यू हैव कन्विक्शन, सेकंड थिंग इज अ वेरी राइट टीम. If you are able to build a very good team at initial days and scale up with them, I think that becomes a very, very unique thing about your business.
Yeah.
Because ultimately business is about people. This has been my biggest learning. Because today capital is available to everyone, technology is available to everyone, information is available to everyone. So what different are you doing? It's about how you do things, and that's where I think people matter a lot. What are the kind of people in your business? What is the kind of your management structure is? The biggest lesson or the biggest role as a founder, what I have to do is to continuously keep on getting good talent for the company. I don't do the daily pricing, right? I don't go to the market and sell vegetables every day or source every day. So what do? I do exactly this, getting the right talent. But now the biggest challenge actually starts after getting the talent, because interestingly, if you are really hiring smart people, they don't very easily work with each other. So it is important that you create a right framework in your organization.
The culture.
Yes. The culture is one thing, and I would say a very good performance framework. Because everyone comes from their own backgrounds, everyone has their own baggages. And you are actually hiring them for that, right? So you can't say that I don't want your baggage. But if you have a right framework, and if people are able to work with each other successfully, that I think creates a winning environment in the organization. That's what it takes, right? So that's the second thing. If you get the right team, and then the third is get the right framework. Only getting in the right people doesn't help. Correct. It backfires also a lot of times. You get people, you best people, not necessarily means you're going to be successful. So those are 2-3 learnings, especially for the people who are wanting to start something new. This is definitely something which they can work on.
And what were the biggest mistakes that you made that you wish you hadn't done when you started out in this space?
So I think stores, for example, are farm stores. So when we started Kisan Connect, we were very clear that we will only be digital. There will be no farm stores and all, because there are a lot of advantages in being digital. Your inventory is at one location and all, and the wastages and everything. For the first 2.5 years, we didn't open even one single store. And it was a very big mistake. Not to open it. Because we should have experimented it much earlier. After we opened it, we ran only 2 stores for almost 12 to 18 months. And then figured out a right model, and then started expanding rapidly on that.
Okay.
But if we would have done it, 2 years before, or we could have been much ahead. So I would say not experimenting early has been our mistake. Second, in our initial days, when we talked to the consumers, we communicated many things. So it'd be like we are directly from the farm, or we work with the farmers, and then we have a large assortment. So we also learned that communicating sharply is necessary. You can't communicate too many things. You need to communicate limited things, but you need to communicate them very clearly, very consistently. That really helps, the consumers understand who you are and who you are not. That is, I think, something what we have learned. What maybe I would say that's a kind of mistakes initially which we had done, and we learned from that. Third is in terms of our tech. So we have been very, I would say, inward looking when it comes to tech, and especially supply chain tech, because we built our Kisan Trace, we built a lot of things which we were unique to our industry, and there were not too many people who are really advanced in India in fresh produce. So we had to build a lot of things in-house. But somewhere I think we also failed to learn what is happening cross-industry. There are huge cross-industry learnings today, which in supply chain can be applied to even fresh produce. But I think that is also something which we really, since we were more inward looking, we really missed, which we are doing now. We have corrected a lot of them. We are now studying across other supply chains. We study supply chains of frozen. We study supply chains of other e-commerce companies, logistics. We study e-commerce of non-food category as well, about how it operates. And then obviously get a lot of learnings for our business.
Yeah, that learning mindset is very critical. And you're saying you're studying supply chains of other businesses as well.
Yes.
So how much capital would one need if they want to look to start this business? How much capital did you start off with? Of course, you had that experience and you divested. But for someone who wants to start out in this space, what kind of capital, what kind of facilities do they need at hand?
I think if you really are wanting to start a very localized boutique kind of thing, and there are a lot of boutique I would say players in small, like, catering to say 500 or 1,000 households,
Yeah.
some specialty fruits or some fresh or organic vegetables
And
and something
local
like
is
that.
the flavor
Local.
now. It's what's working.
So that really does not need too much of capital. It could be, maybe a couple of, 1 or 2 crores, but you can, put together a small team. You can put together some WhatsApp, ordering system and some small supply chain, and then you can start maybe less than that. The real challenge happens, if you really want to scale it.
Yeah.
Then this business is totally different.
Oh.
Because setting up your pack houses, setting up collection centers, building the tech. If you are really a small player, customers won't mind even if your UI UX or even if your experience is broken, because they understand that it's a very small outfit. But the moment they start using you very regularly, a customer does not see you as differently compared to very large apps. So if you are using your quick commerce or food delivery apps and they're so smooth, they're very good.
Yeah.
So you would expect the same level of smoothness on a Kisan Connect app as well, or on any new app as well. So then giving that experience really, then takes. So depends on what you have to start. But the best thing is to deploy maybe a very small capital, start small, understand the nuances, and then figure out that you want to really have only in physical retail, you want to just open stores, or you want to have an omni-channel strategy, or you want to only be in online for particular thing. Or there are opportunities in this, even for Horeca, we don't do institutional. But there is a good opportunity in institutional as well, particularly for exotic produce and all. Again, you have to identify what is your niche. Is it really bulk, onions and potatoes, which doesn't really have margins? Or is it really fruits? Like, for example, in our case, we have decided to focus largely on fruits.
Okay.
Because a fruit consumer is a more sticky consumer than a vegetable consumer.
Okay.
Because, fruit, they really are very critical about the kind of fruit they like and they don't like.
Okay.
Vegetables, they also are very important, but eventually vegetables go in cooking.
Yeah.
So fruits are more important.
Yeah.
So it is really, you need to understand and identify what you want to be in, and then that would determine the kind of capital required for that model.
So what have you learned being in this business and really succeeding in it about India as a market for farm produce growing, and what have you understood about the Indian consumer today?
Many things. So for example, there are a lot of stereotypes. So when you now talk about Kisan Connect coming from the farms, you have a typical imagery of a farmer.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's no more the case. Most of the farmers whom we work with, and they are young, they are in their 30s, 40s. Most of them, a couple of them are engineers. Couple of them have chosen to stay instead of cities, but they have chosen to stay in their farms because there are opportunities like Kisan Connect, which are very progressive opportunities.
Okay.
So instead of going in cities, taking a rented house, spending whatever you earn, on the facilities, they have chosen to stay in their hometowns. There are a lot of women farmers who very successfully, most of the exotic produce is grown by women farmers. Okay. So when you typically think of a farmer, you really don't think of women farmers.
No.
But they do it extremely successfully.
Yeah.
In vegetables, for example, what happens is most of the vegetables are done by smallholder farmers.
Yeah.
जिसके पास बड़ा land है, they typically would do sugar cane or fruits. Vegetables में जिनके पास 1 hectare से कम होता है, वो farmer, उसकी wife, उसके बच्चे, वो सब उस farm में काम करते हैं. तो वहाँ पे they are also now very progressive, because if they are attached to the mainstream, most of them use smartphones. They are very, very, very well informed.
Yeah.
Still, what they want is the best opportunity and right timely payments. But a lot of things have changed there. And farmers, it was very difficult initially. But once the farmers start trusting you, they are willing to change and willing to adopt the best practices. Today, the same thing is also happening with the consumers. और ये चेंज होना शुरू हुआ, राइट? लाइक लोगों को भी समझने लगा, यार मेरे को जूते का ब्रांड पता है, बट मेरे को सब्जी कहाँ से आ रही है वो पता नहीं है, और सब्जी तो मैं मेरे बॉडी के अंदर डाल रहा हूँ.
करेक्ट.
सब्जी में जूते में इसी शोरूम से खरीद रहा हूँ, सब्जी में रोड से खरीद रहा हूँ. सो पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड रियलाइजिंग दिस थिंग्स. सेकंड, लोग अभी सोचते हैं कि मुझे मेरे बच्चे को लीफी देना है, ये लीफी कहीं रेलवे लाइन के साइड में सीवेज वाटर पे उगा है क्या, या ये लीफी जो है ये सही में किसी फार्म से आ रहा है. सो I think that consciousness for consumers in terms of having preference for clean label food, having preference for responsibly grown food is also happening very fast, and people are not going back from there.
Yeah.
एक बार अगर मैंने adopt कर लिया, तो it's very hard that I go back again.
Correct.
I'm just going to go ahead of that. I think these are two learnings. And my learning has been that yes, people pay a premium. It has to be affordable premium. So it
Yeah.
is wrong to say that ultimately this is a commodity. अगर आप उनको यूनिक चीज दे रहे हो, वैल्यू दे रहे हो, सेफ्टी दे रहे हो, people are willing to pay premium, but it has to be an affordable premium. That's what my learning has been about Indian consumers as well.
Very
in this
interesting
business.
insights about the farmers as well as the consumers. So, to wrap it up, you have said that success is not just about building a business, but about creating an impact. How do you want to create an impact?
See, as I said, my father came from a farming family, and while he's not very active in this business, but I would say it is largely his vision what we are taking ahead. That he believes that we are whatever we are due to our farmers. They have made us build enterprises, build wealth, build new businesses, and hence it's a very simple farmer philosophy. Farmer typically feels everyone is a family. The village is a
Yeah.
family. So that's how we try to run the business. On one hand side of this families are farmers, then comes our team,
Yeah.
then comes of our consumers.
Wonderful.
And if you really operate business, see, culture is something which always percolates top down. Culture does not go bottom up. Culture always comes top down. If you really have that thought process comes into your people, into your team, and consumers are able to feel it. हमने ये देखा कोविड टाइम्स में, जब हमने कंज्यूमर्स को बहुत डिफिकल्ट टाइम्स में सर्विस किया, लोग हमें कॉल करते हैं जो 5-5 साल से ले रहे हैं. देयर आर कंज्यूमर्स हु आर एक्चुअली सिटिंग इन द यूएस, बट दे आर ऑर्डरिंग फॉर देयर पेरेंट्स here.
Wow.
They talk to us. There are consumers who really appreciate the hard work of our team and our farmers. They
Yeah.
call us. They a lot of times have to they have a video conference calls with our farmers.
Oh.
फार्मर्स को भी बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि मेरा प्रोड्यूस यहाँ पे जा रहा है, बच्चे ले रहे हैं, हम जो एफर्ट ले रहे हैं, हम जो सेफली प्रोड्यूस उगा रहे हैं, उसको ये लोग अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हैं. आई थिंक दैट्स द काइंड ऑफ कनेक्शन. That's why Kisan Connect, right? So that's the
Absolutely.
connect which we are trying to
Yeah.
build.
I think the trust and the consumer centricity that you have has really been what has stood you in good stead.
Yeah.
So now, Vivek, before we let you go, we've got a quick rapid fire. So snappy answers. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The biggest misconception about farm to fork.
That it'll be cheap.
Okay. One business that you admire, could be globally, could be Indian, within agriculture, that's really doing well.
Amul.
Okay, the OG. Farm visit or boardroom meeting? What do
Farm
you prefer? Okay. The hardest part about being a founder.
You have to understand what your team is going through without them telling this to you.
Okay. Scale or profitability? What's your
Profitability.
focus? Okay. What do Indian business schools or just schools in general not teach about agriculture?
About the uncertainty in it.
Okay. And what do VCs get wrong when it comes to AgriTech?
So they think when they focus less on agri and more on tech.
And what keeps you going? What motivates you on a daily basis?
Smiling faces of our consumers and our farmers and our team.
Absolutely. And I can see it all around me right here today. So thank you, Vivek. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Such an interesting interview, and we've learned so much. So first, I'll break it down in terms of the business of Kisan Connect. They said that this was a very big opportunity. The food chain was contaminated, and this is a space that they wanted to enter. The nutrition deficit clearly is a big problem. Tech integration is something that they really built on and at scale. They decided to be more than just transactional with the farmers, which really helped them. Making it more convenient to consumers really scaled their prospects a lot. They do believe that consumers are willing to pay an affordable premium to get the products. And down the line, 1,000 crore rupees in terms of revenue in 3 to 4 years, and IPO, and of course, continuing to work closely with the farmers as family. And what about people who are watching this and want to learn about business? Understand that the consumer insights, they help you learn. Building a business, divesting it, and starting over gives you a lot of trust from investors outside. Supply chain, it's not a tech business when you're working in this space, so don't only focus on tech. It's not important to just raise capital, but how you deploy it is equally important. Build a great team, have a solid management structure, have a solid performance framework, communicate sharply, communicate consistently, study supply chains, and understand that you can start somewhere, but scaling, that requires a lot. I certainly hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Do remember to like, share, and comment. Do remember to subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll catch you in the next interview. Thanks for watching.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.